Hi, so this will be my second tech demo, and for this tech demo, I'm going to be using the application called Pear Deck. Okay, so for this tech demo, the case study was that Ms. Smith teaches 5th grade English and Language Arts, and she's trying to find a more effective way to use exit slips in her classroom to try to keep track of all the students' progresses. Her lesson is about synonyms and antonyms this week. And she has a general idea for her lesson plans this week, but she wants to be able to tweak them from day to day depending on her students' exit ticket results. So she wants to be able to see how each student's doing, and right now she's doing that by just a piece of paper, and students have to write down what they are doing. And by that time she gets 20 pieces of paper at the end of the day, and that counts for a lot by the end of the week. So the goals that Ms. Smith wants to accomplish with this application is she wants to be able to track students' responses to tweak her lesson plans for the next day, and she wants to do this every day. She wants to track how each individual student and the class as a whole did on the lesson on synonyms and antonyms. She wants to be able to give feedback to individual students to let them know what they are solid on, like what they're good on, and what they need to study more of, maybe later at home, or maybe with the tutor and like recess or any free time during the day. Her challenges currently are that students often give very vague answers, and they don't like to give a lot of variety in their answer. It's also very hard to track the bigger picture when looking at 20 individual sheets of paper every day. You kind of have to just remember it in your head and track their progress that way. It's also difficult to track individual students and the class results because at the end of the week she's sitting there with about 100 pieces of paper, and to try to keep that all in your head and remember that, it's pretty much impossible. So it's also difficult to give students feedback because of these reasons. She wants to be able to provide feedback to each student to tell them how they're doing. So with her paper method, it's a little difficult at the moment. Some of the benefits of Pear Deck is that it's easy and free to use. All it is you look it up on Safari, Google. It runs smoothly on both of those. It can reach to every single student, so no one is left out. There's actually 2 options to run Pear Deck. You can do an instructor pace, or you can do a student pace, where they can go at their own pace and they can work ahead if they want to, or you can keep control and use that instructor pace. That's what I'm going to be using today, is the instructor. It connects right to your Google Slides, so it's just an add-on, and it's very easy to download, and it works great. You can use your Gmail account through that. It can differentiate the types of responses that students can give. So I know there's a drawing, there's multiple choice, there's typing, there's a number one. There's so many different options that you can use for students to be able to give like a wide variety of answers. It has a completely creative capabilities to use at your discretion. So because you're going through Google Slides, so Google Slides already has a lot of creative capabilities, and you can continue that into your Pear Deck. It tracks students' responses when they use an electronic device with a Gmail account. You can make it original to your classroom about any lesson you want. Again, that creative aspect, you can do anything with it. You can also, at the end, you can select a particular student's responses for all of the questions at the end of the presentation, and it'll show you what that student did and that student's answer. So when you want to start a Pear Deck, first you have to go to Pear Deck, and then you just log in, and then you create one, and then it'll shoot you to Google Slides, where you go to your little extensions, and then you go to Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and then you open Pear Deck, and then it will actually, let me exit out of here. it will actually pop up with this on your side. Here you can see all the different questions you can ask your students. And then I'm not going to use this feature right now, but if you were actually going to start a Pear Deck, you would use this start lesson instead of this slideshow button, because if you were to use this one, it would not include any of the Pear Deck functions. So you need to use this one to be able to ask student questions and get their responses and save them at the end. So, but for this case, I'm just going to use slideshow because I took screenshots instead of doing the Pear Deck with you. So, this is what it'll look like from the teacher's perspective. This, you're waiting for students, and then the students will type in their code, and then this will change to Start Classroom, and then the students will see this. This is an automated choice, or an automated question that Pear Deck always gives out. Then you go to the next. So this is going to be your first, this is what the students see. They see your lesson and they see your answer. Then what you want to do next, this is the teacher view. So you have your class code at the top. This will be presented on the board. So once you see that 101 responses, because I was the only one that joined this, so once you have your responses, you click show responses, and that will give you those students' answers to that question. You can also hide responses, lock the screens, or put in a new prompt for this question. And then, so my second question is to draw a circle around the antonym. So you can, from the student's view, it pops up with colors and like a line, a highlighter, pencil, whatever, and then they use it and they circle one or they circle the other option. And then, once again, this is the student's results from that question, but this is just the teacher view. So again, we have our 1 of 1 responses, still shows we're presenting, and we press show response like I showed earlier. And again, you have the option to lock screens or create a new prompt. And then the next one is to type a response that is at least 2 sentences about how you feel about today's lesson. So here I added at least 2 sentences, so we try to get some words out of the kids because we know kids don't like to give that lengthy response that we as educators prefer. So this will pop up with a text box on the student's screen. That way they are able to type in whatever they would like. I know for this one, it just pops up with A, B, C, or D on their screen. And so this is what I typed in. I feel good so far. I'm understanding this very well. And actually, if I was still typing at this moment, you would see 3 dots after it, like going away and coming back in. There would just be 3 continuous dots. That indicates that that person is still typing and they aren't done yet. If you want to cut the students off where they are, once again, you can lock their screens so they aren't able to type more. And then if there were more responses, they would keep popping up under here. And then this is my last question. How do you feel confident? Do you feel with knowing the difference between synonyms and antonyms? So right here the options are very confident, I don't need any extra help, confident, but I could use a little refresher, not very confident, and I need assistance to complete the lesson, not confident at all, I need to learn the lesson again. So this is where Ms. Smith could use this technology to see which students need help, that they know they need help with this lesson. And then once again, it'll pop up with A, B, C, D in the students on the student screen, and they get to pick one or the other. And I clicked A, and A was very confident. I don't need any extra help. So Miss Smith with the student could say, she could tell the student that they're good, they're set, they don't need any extra help, they're good. And then after I've ended the lesson, you see you can press end in this corner down here. Once I end the lesson, this will pop up on the student's screen. This is another automated question that Pear Deck gives to every single lesson, and the student can click it went good or it went bad. This is another exit ticket that the teacher could use if they didn't want to use the other ones. Maybe the others were too much. This one works as well. And then after you end the session, so this one was from the student view. After you end, this is from teacher view. From teacher view, you can choose to name it. So I could week 9 English language arts, whatever, I can name it that. And then you would, if you name it, then you would click end session. Shortly after that, this screen will pop up, and you can either share it to Classroom, so you can share the results with your students, or you can break it into a doc. And if you press on this option right here, Open, Reflect, and Review, it'll pop up with a page, and you can select any particular student that you want. So, right now I picked me because I was the only one, but you can actually scroll up and down to each question that was answered, and you can see that student's answer. And then here are just some of the reasons Pear Deck would help Miss Smith with her English language arts synonyms and antonyms lesson. It tracks students' responses. It by all the different types of questions that you can ask the students. It tracks them all, and you get that finished result at the end. You can track how each individual student and the class did as a whole. So when it shows, let's find an example. When it shows one of these, it'll show the whole class and how many got A, B, C, D. And then Miss Smith can give feedback to individual students. So by going back to the individual student answers like I just showed, Miss Smith can take notes for each one of those for each student and then help them with that. Miss Smith can give students individual feedback. There can be a sentence requirement, so students can't be so vague. All the data is right there, so no need for 100 pieces of paper at the end of the week. All your information is right there on your computer. That's very easy access, and she can easily give students feedback because you get a report of all the students' individual answers at the end. So that is it for my Pear Deck presentation. I feel like this would be a really good resource for Miss Smith because it acknowledges all her goals and challenges, and it completes every single one of them.